Welcome everybody to a brand new show called Conspiracies Are Us. Today we're talking about a deadly conspiracy. Now notice I didn't say conspiracy theory because this is 100% true and fact. It's just hidden from the populace. Today we're bringing breaking news about a secret government plan to kill off as many people as possible. They're doing this through the food that we eat. They make the food that kills us super cheap, while they make the food that makes us live long very expensive. And thus population control has been going on for a long time right under our nose, and we didn't even know it. You guys got to stop eating all that stuff right now.
You get too much energy for a Monday.
But there's something we could do about it. We can fight back, and we could start eating apples. You're not jumping in on this one?
I'm not. I'm not even sure where to pick apart this one. I like Conspiracies Are Us. It's a place I could go and pick up a conspiracy. Like if I'm bored, I'm like, oh man, I need another conspiracy. I gotta go to Conspiracies Are Us.
Yeah, and this is a good one to ponder. You know why healthy foods are so expensive and cheap foods are.
But if it's 100% true, is it even still like a conspiracy?
Well, not anymore because we're bringing it to the light. That's the premise of the show. I mean, do you like this premise, or should we go back to our old show?
I like the old show.
All right. Well, okay, fine. All right, everybody. Welcome to the real podcast where it is called the Evil Safety Dudes. And it's really about all things OSHA and how not to die at work. So death is still in it. It's just not about death from food.
Right.
I guess. No, that's more food safety. I'm sure there's a food safety podcast, food defense.
If you were like a plant worker and you were working above giant vats of food, and if you fell into them, you could die, you'd be like, oh, no, I'm afraid of the food.
Yeah. And that'd be worse for the food than the guy, or both. It's
I don't know.
I
think
bad
the food
for
won't
both
care.
of them.
The food will just kind of get some extra people in it.
I always tell our clients in food manufacturing, I tell employees, don't get sucked into the machine.
Yeah. Right?
Because what flavor of whatever you make there would you be?
Not delicious.
Not delicious.
Not delicious.
But I like to hear the funny responses because, some people like, Coors Light, if I fell into that, it would be a Coors Light flavored whatever we make here.
Oh, dear.
Or Tapatio flavored. That'd be me. If I fell into something.
It'd be like spicy pepper.
It'd be Tapatio flavored whatever we make there. All right, anyway. So what's been going on? It's been a minute since we recorded.
So I got to go to a local Warhammer 40K tournament. It was pretty fun.
40K? What does that mean?
Warhammer. My little painted miniatures.
No, I know Warhammer is, but what's 40K?
Oh, it's the year 40,000. It's 40,000 years in the future.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's the full name of the game? Warhammer 40K?
Yeah.
Or is there different versions of it and you play the 40K version?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Yes and no.
I'll figure it out one of these days. One of these days.
Yeah, it's Warhammer, but then it's Warhammer 40K is what I play.
When I was in Omaha at the National Safety Council a minute ago, I saw a Warhammer store.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought of you.
I've been down there. It's a nice one. It's a neat little store.
So that's where you could buy, like, the miniatures and the paint and, like,
the
you could
play right
board
there.
and the dice. Okay, cool.
A ton of stuff.
So where was this tournament you went to?
That was just right here in town. We played over
Really?
on, I can't remember the name of the place we went to, but the Sioux City Gaming League, they set it up. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
Can you, like, win money or, like, how does it?
Yeah, they had some prize support because they have different vendors come down. So they had a whole bunch of different groups of people running tables and playing like Dungeons and Dragons. And then they had people upstairs like sword fighting and
cool.
It was a really neat little gaming convention. But then a group out of Sioux Falls called Turbulent Gaming.
Okay.
They actually sponsored the tournament. They had for 16 players. And we all had to pay to sign up. And then the winner got a $250 box of Warhammer stuff. And then they had a few other surprises and stuff. It was cool.
Is it a team game or single? So
this one was single. You can play teams, but
so you might be battling against one of your friends.
Oh yeah, no, I did.
That's cool.
That was fun.
How'd you do?
I got 4th out of 16.
Oh, that's good.
It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Now, there's some armies there that ran just absolute tournament cheese, which is rough.
I'll pretend I know what that means.
Cheese is just like they got on the internet and they just picked the armies that are winning like national tournaments and they just played that locally. Instead of making up their own, they were like, oh, this is what's winning.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you? Is there anything going on in Mr. Aaron Iacino's life?
There always is. I'm in a perpetual state of soreness. We had a really awesome jiu-jitsu seminar on Saturday. So 2 hours of learning how to take the back and different attacks you could do from the back.
That's rough.
And so, yeah, I'm still sore from rolling around a million times and getting put in a million triangles and reverse triangles and head and arm triangles and
regular triangles and reverse triangles.
Yeah, no regular triangles. It was head and arm triangle and reverse triangles. Yeah.
Now this is my turn to nod and go, yeah, I know what that means. I know what a reverse triangle is.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
it was
a regular
cool.
triangle, but it's opposite.
Usually we're bringing in kind of international stars, like in the grappling or fighting world. But this time we went more with the Iowa star. There's this dude out of Davenport, Nate Fenton. He's got a Breaking Point Jiu-Jitsu out there, and he's upcoming star in the Jiu-Jitsu world. So we brought him out, and cool dude, man. Him and his wife did a great job teaching the seminar, and it was awesome. Yeah,
it's really cool.
Cool, man. Well, we should get into the show. So
we're in the show.
What? Yeah, like into the body, because
is here.
We actually have somebody sitting in front of us, and I'm very excited to introduce one of our own, Sarah Raw. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You guys are just two of a kind.
That's what we do. This is what we do.
Yeah, and so Sarah, for those of you who don't know her, she works with us at IBC. It's about time we have one of our own on the show, huh?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. We've
IBC is awesome. We need to.
Am I the first IBC feature?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Oh,
You are.
wow.
You're the first one.
And
since you're in person, we can actually high five for real.
Oh.
yeah.
Yes.
Because normally we're talking to people like via Zoom or cell phone. So this one's neat.
Yeah, we're looking at them on a little camera. So yeah, actually in the podcast fort,
the IBC studio fort.
So
it's like one that I made when I was 4.
Exactly.
See, and that's how we always describe it for people.
Yeah.
We try to tell them on the radio that it's more like a fort in here. We got blankets and we got stuff to like deaden the sound. But
I'm worried about
fort.
this falling on me today and spilling my water because I had to rearrange. So
I mean, at first I was gonna say I'm not worried about it falling on you. I think you could handle a tiny pad touching your head. But the
it's
water,
still gonna be funny when it happens when we're recording because I might still go or something like that. But anyway, Sarah, you manage our preventive wellness program at IBC. Is that correct?
I do. It's been 5 years.
Whoa,
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now our audience knows about the safety world, but wellness, maybe not so much. So can you just give us a brief explanation of what a wellness program manager does or what services we provide?
Yeah, so I like to think of wellness as proactive safety. But we go around to employers of all shapes and sizes, and we do
no pun intended.
The people are all shapes and sizes. The companies are all shapes and sizes.
I'll allow it.
We do cholesterol screenings. So we do point of service blood draws, which is one of my personal favorites.
What does that mean? Does it mean point of service?
Yes. So point of service means that we are doing a finger prick blood draw. So the results of the blood draws are printed within 5 minutes. So we are able to review those results at the time of the appointment. There's no waiting time.
And like right? Like they're not going to a lab? Like
correct. We bring all of our equipment to the work site.
Wow, that's fancy.
And
so you don't got to worry about like packing up your employees and shipping them somewhere, telling them some address to go find it. They're right there.
It's so convenient for employers. Everyone, employers allow their employees to do it on work time on the clock, which is wonderful. So they're able to kind of know their numbers right on the spot and be proactive.
That's cool. So blood work, and then I've gone through some of these because you do these for us every year.
Mm-hmm.
We do. Yeah, you guys are guinea pigs every year.
Which is cool. So body mass index as well, body fat percentage.
I was really excited this year. You guys told me I was doing great on my BMI.
You're not obese, AJ.
I made it.
Nice.
Yeah, we do blood pressure. We do abdominal circumference, which helps us kind of predict cardiovascular health and blood pressure and diabetes risk. We also do a diabetes test.
Oh, nice.
Which is a newer test for us the past 3 years, and that allows us to give diagnostic ranges for prediabetes or diabetes risk right on the spot.
Cool. Is that the hemoglobin A1C?
It is, yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
Nice. Well, that's really cool stuff. So now what we're talking about today is wellness and safety connection. And I don't think a lot of people are really putting them together. So I just want your help today as a wellness expert. Why do employers even care about their employees' body mass index or their cholesterol, or if their diabetes are in control, or if they're, quitting smoking? Why does it care if they get to a healthy body weight? I mean, what is the big deal? Why should employers let their employees take time to get these tests and because you guys do coaching too, right?
Yes. Yep. We do one-on-one coaching.
Why should we pay them to get some health coaching? I mean, I want to help, really communicate how this helps with safety.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could pick any one of those. That was like 8 questions.
There's a lot of things there.
Well, that's just kind of the overview of all the things we're going to pick your brain on. So, let's just start with what body weight,
Body weight's a big one, I think. I've had to deal with 2 big injuries just at work with employees that had issues with their personal body weight, and both of them happened to be when they were just trying to stand up or sit down.
Really?
One employee was getting out of a vehicle at work, stepping out of the vehicle in the parking lot. They broke their ankle.
What?
And then I had another employee who was stepping off of a ladder to an uneven surface, and then they lost their footing, you could say. It wasn't really a slippery situation. But then when they landed on the ground, they actually split their kneecap open.
Man, I know that, the more weight you're walking around with, the more joint pain, the more pressure on your joints. And then I know myself from being on a ladder, like you're on a ladder for 2-3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
All of that body weight is centered like wherever your foot is on that rung, like the ball of your foot or the arch. You might be shifting around a bit. But I could just imagine having 100 extra pounds on me and doing that same job.
Yeah, or even like just a backpack. Like a backpack with 30 pounds of stuff, that'd be enough to start throwing me off.
Yeah. So, as far as, excess body weight, obesity, they call that a pandemic or epidemic in America, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And how is that, affecting safety? Do you got any insight on that?
Yeah, so I actually have an example which comes from the CDC's website. We took an employee that had a BMI, body mass index, of over 30, which is considered an obese BMI.
Okay.
Normal would be less than 25.
Okay.
And this employee had a knee injury, specifically a lateral meniscus tear.
Okay.
And this person had a BMI of 34, so a high risk weight. And when they went to the doctor and they had their appointments and they had a surgery, their cost was $34,000.
Okay.
Holy smokes.
So this not only is coming out of their pocket, but it's also the health insurance. It's their claims cost, which the employer is also picking up on some of that. Yep. That's a lot of money for one injury.
For sure. Yeah.
So then we look at a individual at a healthy BMI of 24.
Okay.
Which is normal weight. And their health cost, although still an expensive injury, was $21,000.
Wow, same injury.
38% lower cost for that injury.
Now, do they give details on why one was more than the other? Like
a lot of times it has to do with the hospital stay, and medication, or drugs during surgery can be different for someone who is obese versus at a healthy weight, and just time for recovery as well. So
yeah, that's the one that went right into my brain.
Yeah,
probably recovery.
Being
time.
Off of work, that is added into that cost as well. So maybe someone who is at a healthy weight has a 3-week recovery versus someone who is at an unhealthy weight having a 6 to 8 week recovery time.
I just know, simple anatomy and physiology, the more adipose tissue or fat that you have, it's just harder on your body. Like your heart has to run the small capillaries, arterioles, the very small veins to that to feed that. So it's more workload on your heart to press blood to and from all that adipose tissue, the excess weight on your body. I could see how that excess weight could delay easily healing processes and just make everything take longer than it should.
Yeah. Yep. And in our health coaching, And the screening process, we do abdominal circumference measurement, and we get a lot of flack because people don't want to be measured.
My abdominal fat.
But the important piece of that is your midsection fat is called visceral fat.
Okay.
So when we think of having fat arms or fat legs, that's one type of fat. But when your organs, your kidneys, your liver, your lungs, your heart are all surrounded by visceral fat, which is the fat surrounding the organs, it puts more pressure on them over time, which increases risk for diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, all of those things. So where we carry our weight is also important.
Yeah.
So
I'm one of those guys that's fat and skinny at the same time.
I hear that a lot.
Well, there is actually like that skinny fat that they talk about too.
Yep.
Where you have all that like underlying, but you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So on the safety side, obviously just having excess body weight, like you could be overloading ladders. You talked about a ladder injury, and what are some of those weights we've seen on ladders? They're not all the really cool A, or the super industrial ones. I've seen some chintzy ladders out there in the field, some 250 pounders, some 200 pounders.
Oh man, we were up at a big job, like an important Sioux City. It was a government building getting done by one of our best contractors, and there was a little aluminum ladder thrown up that everybody was using to access the roof. I was the only person that stopped and looked at it and was like, hey guys, the weight rating on this thing's 150 pounds.
What?
150.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah. It was like the teeniest, most cheap little flimsy looking ladder.
Yeah,
and the guys going up and down this thing,
$50 ladder.
They easily doubled that capacity.
Oh yeah, man.
I mean,
and that's where weight and safety
for sure
come into it if you're not aware of.
So then right away when I pointed it out, though, they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll get this fixed, no problem." And all of a sudden, the ladder disappears. Great big, beautiful orange fiberglass ladders get put up, and everybody was all happy. But I mean, unless you say something, nobody's gonna stop.
And it's stuff that people don't want to talk about because it's sensitive to more weight. But we deal with weight all the time in our job.
It is.
The average scissor lift max capacity is 2 people and 500 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's tough sometimes. I mean,
That's tough.
I'm 200 right now. What are you at?
I'm at 215.
215. So we're 415.
We're at 415.
So we don't have that much weight we could have in there with tools and material.
Right.
I mean,
I'm glad you guys didn't ask me how much I weigh.
No,
we're not.
We got more. We're trained by
we don't care about We're not going to start asking guests. Hey, by the way, welcome to the podcast. Well, tell us
how
your weight.
old are you? And but and then same with boom lifts. 500 pounds is your average max capacity on those things. And then ladders, it's way less than 500. So weight. Oh, and harnesses.
Yeah,
there's a lot of weight ratings on harnesses.
There's a lot.
I mean, I'm thinking of a standard one I see all the time is 300.
That's about the same that I usually see is 300.
Yeah, but we know that we have clients with employees that are over 300.
Plenty.
And if they could fit the harness, they're at a job where you got to wear one.
So they just put it on.
They're in a boom lift, they're in a scissor lift, they got it on, but they're over the weight of it, and if they were to have a fall, that could be bad.
Yeah, and it's super sensitive to try to approach that issue. I mean, because right now we're in a super sensitive culture where everybody's really, really touchy about saying things about weight or belief or anything.
Right.
And if you start coming up to somebody going, hey, that ladder says it's got a weight restriction of 250.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous you might be pushing that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's, what are you assuming or what are you saying? And oh my goodness.
And OSHA's not going to be that way. They're just going to bust you. Be like, how much do you weigh?
Right.
Oh, you're over that.
Yep.
Thank you for funding the great state of Iowa. That's $13,000, please.
Please pay us.
Let's pick on Sarah. So how do you approach that sensitive topic of weight?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So when we do our biometric screenings, some of our employers, we have, they call it an outcomes-based wellness program.
Okay.
So you have to meet certain requirements, and then if you meet those requirements, you pay a lower premium for your health insurance, which can be a huge motivating factor for some people. Money is a huge motivating factor.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Some employers, say, hey, we want to take a more cautious approach, and we just want it to be participation based. So when we see an employer like that, you can't require someone to weigh or to do an abdominal circumference because it isn't outcomes based.
Okay.
So those groups that say, we want our employees to really be aware of their health risks. People really are nervous to stand on that scale. And I say, I'll cover up the number, I'll write the number down. And health isn't all about that one number on the scale, but because it can be such a health risk, especially later on down the line, it's important to know your base number, so you know where, goals that you want to make, or where you want to go moving forward with losing some weight and hopefully decreasing your risk later on for other things.
So I want to hear a success story. Have you successfully coached your team, someone, into a healthier weight in your 5 years?
Yes. So seeing over, I think our total of wellness clients is right around 2,000. So if I answered no to that question, I'd be a little disappointed in myself. But
it's not just you. You could be the greatest coach in the world, but if you have nobody that wants to lose weight,
right.
I mean, take two to tango there.
Yep. So there was an individual, and we still actually coach him, and he was severely diabetic.
Okay.
His A1C, normal is less than 5.7. His A1C was in the 10s.
Holy smokes.
And that was medicated, and so
and he was already on medication.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So I taught a diabetes prevention program, DPP.
Okay, nice.
And our goal for all participants was to just simply, not simple, but losing 3% of your body weight.
Okay.
So for someone who's 300 pounds, that's 10 pounds. It's a realistic amount of weight to lose.
It is.
But anyways, this individual knew that his diabetes was out of control. Each time we talked with him, which was every 6 months, I said, okay, the goal is to decrease 3%.
Right.
Instead of saying, you need to lose 100 pounds.
Right.
That's very overwhelming for someone.
That's a daunting task. Yeah.
So each time we met every 6 months, he was like, you know what? 10 pounds was not hard to lose. So he would actually exceed that weight goal because he said, 10 pounds, I can do that. So over a 4-year period, he is down 85 pounds.
What?
Holy smokes.
His A1C is, in the 6s.
Wow.
Instead of in the 10s.
Oh
my gosh.
And, his arthritis is feeling better. His knees, his hips, his
Holy
back. And just overall, he can move around better.
Well,
he's
awesome.
He can walk up and down the stairs with ease.
Right.
And just a lot of other factors that he
That's
has
incredible.
noticed too.
Now, I wanted to make the wellness safety connection today, but after hearing that, I want to talk about the wellness production connection. Because if you got an employee who's moving better, moving faster, he's got more energy. I imagine he's got more energy now. He's working more. He's producing more.
Yeah.
He's not taking as much breaks, and when he's there, he's putting out what he should be. So that's a huge thing too on the wellness and production connection. Now, for the wellness safety connection, if a guy's more agile and he's moving better, he's less likely to have a slip, trip, and fall. Just 100%.
Yeah, and we like to, we think of it as absenteeism. When you're sick, you're missing work. But a lot of times the wellness safety, wellness production connection is we want to think about presenteeism. So you may be at work, but if you're not healthy and you're not working at, 100% or even 80 or 90% work capacity, you're really not present.
Right.
Oh,
so, if you have back pain or joint pain, or your blood pressure is high, or depression, you're not present.
Yeah.
Your employer's paying you, and you're not really working.
You're just not producing.
That goes back to the wellness safety, because, you know, eyes on task, mind on task is something that it's preached a lot in safety, like focus, you know, stuff like that. Like, you can't just space out. Like, you got to work with your brain, not with your hands. That's, you know, it's an old school safety speech, you know. Oh, what was the matter? Oh, I was working with my hands, not with my head. You know, someone just like shoveling and just tuning out. But that could happen too from depression and different things like that.
Yes.
So,
Crazy set of numbers for you guys too.
Okay.
Back in 2018, when we did the big safety census with OSHA and Bureau of Labor Statistics, there was 5,200 deaths at work that year.
Okay.
So out of every industry, ag, you know, construction, general industry, rail, everybody all put together, 5,200 deaths. Of all of those, 791 of those deaths were slip, trips, and falls.
wow.
Preventable.
So almost 800 people died, not from falling from heights, it was literally just slip, trips, and falls.
Well, I want to pick your guys' brain on that one, because when I ponder wellness and reducing slips, trips, and falls conundrum, I'm not just looking at weight too. I'm looking at what type of exercise would help. And to me, I think when people do cardio, like an elliptical, a stair stepper, walking, running, jogging, and they're used to moving their feet and balancing their body, I think those type of activities makes them less likely to have a slip, trip, and fall versus somebody who's super sedentary and never really moves at all.
Sure.
I mean, they could be on a bench and benching good, which is great for them, but as far as preventing a slip, trip, and fall, I'm thinking those cardio activities are pretty good for that. Do you guys got any thoughts on that?
Well, I immediately go to, you know, squats and deadlifts. Just you could just skip cardio and just do squats.
And
I
go right to the elliptical,
which will give you big muscles, which would help you to, if you were to slip, like to catch yourself and put all your weight on one yourself. So, I mean, strength conditioning is great, but as far as that initial, I'm tripping over my feet.
Yes, yeah. And one silly thing that I tell when I'm working with clients to, you know, really work on balance, because time, you know, no one has enough hours in the day to exercise or, you know, do those things above and beyond. You know, when you're brushing your teeth, if you simply stand on one foot and then halfway through stand on the other foot, you're practicing balance and lower body strength without adding in an hour workout to your day.
Nice. Yeah,
so balance is huge. And, you know, the stronger your lower body is and your core, you know, the less likely you are to fall. Or
so besides doing elliptical, throwing in some crunches, is that what you're saying?
Throw in some planks.
Some planks too?
Yes.
Planking.
Okay, cool. Any ab stuff will help with slip, trip, and fall.
Yep.
All right, cool. So we talked about weight a little bit. We touched on diabetes. I know you guys do smoking cessation too. Is that correct?
Yes. Both Chase Funk and myself are tobacco cessation certified, so we can teach tobacco cessation classes, which they're typically 8-week-long programs. But, you know, smoking is, I think it's becoming less popular as it becomes more expensive, and, you know, there's other means of smoking than just cigarettes. But
are you guys adding that in now, like the whole vaping stuff, or?
Yeah. So that we actually have one of our clients is a trucking company, and they took a truck with a driver who was a non-tobacco user or vapor or whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
And then took a driver that vaped regularly for, you know, a year or two. And they looked at the dashboard of this person that vaped, and it was fogged over. And so they took that example and they said, okay, if your plastic plexiglass dashboard is foggy, what is your delicate lungs? What do your lungs look like?
Right.
You know, after vaping. And it was a very interesting, just kind of real life example. And I think it affects so many facets of our health more than just our lungs, but more than people think about.
So vaping's, you know, the big thing, right? And so we have like years and years and years and years of research and data on smoke, you know, inhaling the smoke and what that's doing to you, you know. But when we go into the vaping equation, it changes stuff. So we still have the nicotine issue, you know.
Yes.
So what's the negative effects of nicotine? we don't have that. I've never vaped. Is it hot?
I haven't either.
I can't
Come
help
on,
you guys.
AJ.
I'm not cool.
I do not think it would be because it's water based.
Well, doesn't it have to go through some kind of electric mechanism?
Yeah, it has to get vaporized before you can breathe it in.
But, because we know that some of the heat from the cigarette smoke and the smoke itself, but, the negative effects of vaping, that's one of their saying that the sales pitches of it is it's healthier. But, nicotine by itself and there's still a lot of similarities to it as far as, the time they're away from the job, because a lot of companies that I'm in, they're not letting you just vape anywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to go to the designated area as well.
Yes.
And so you still have, as far as production, they've had stats forever on the smoker versus non-smoker and production.
Yeah.
And I've heard complaints from the non-smokers like, what's the deal? How come we don't get all those breaks? You know, so
maybe I should take up smoking so I can take a 5 every hour.
Yeah.
And as part of the wellness programming that we do, we actually just helped a work site put together a tobacco-free campus policy.
Nice.
And so we sat down and said, okay, what are the laws? What are the regulations? What are the rules? And we actually, even in the past 6 months, have seen a decrease in tobacco use because people don't want to have to walk a quarter of a mile to be able to smoke.
Wow.
And so,
which is healthy to walk a quarter of a mile.
It is, but then not to smoke.
Right.
But so that's just another added benefit of the wellness programming that we do is we can be the experts and help work sites put together that policy in place, and then the presenteeism of their employees because they're not leaving for all these breaks and being disrupted and distracted. It just helps with that as well.
Now, I seem to remember there was for some companies, some kind of insurance health benefit for not smoking.
Yeah, so some employers use that in their outcomes-based employee programming. So if you are a tobacco user, you pay higher premiums. Now, the legality of that is if you penalize people for being a tobacco user, you have to offer some sort of means of quitting to at least offer up that alternative. So which is what we offer that programming.
Nice.
As part of IBC's wellness program.
Now, why can't I just lie and say, yeah, I don't smoke?
You can. So we do also, with some of our wellness programs, we have a tobacco detection test, tobacco cessation.
Okay. And you guys do that yourself?
And we do, yes.
Cool.
So it's a mouth swab.
Okay.
And it detects tobacco and nicotine up to 90 days.
Wow.
Oh my.
And we've actually done a test with someone. They smoked a cigar 90 days before we tested them, and it actually showed up on the test.
Wow.
Oh, dang.
So we were a little skeptical of the exact, the accuracy of the timing, but so that, some employers are like, no, we want it to be, just the honor system, but we do offer those testings as well as part of our program.
Yeah, because if you're getting a big benefit for it, and employers are probably covering that cost, maybe,
Yep.
so they would want to make sure they're not paying extra money for someone who's just lying, because then they can end up paying for their issues from smoking too.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So now I realize none of us really work in health benefits, but you guys were mentioning that the employer is paying some of that.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is hurt, just like for whatever unhealthy reason they got going and their personal insurance is covering it, that's also a cost on the employer. Is that what I was hearing from you guys?
Yep, because the employer has to cover, part of the cost of the claims, of the hospital visits, of the medications. It's not all just getting, covered by insurance or by the employee. And so if someone is, having health complications and they have a longer hospital stay, it's not just magically covered.
Right.
Okay.
The employer has to, front some of that cost, which,
Well, then it's also
can
going to be
add
things
up.
like time off work, and then having other employees cover their shift.
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
it's
Even
always
if it's
gonna
not a
carry over.
workplace
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So workplace or wellness production connection, wellness safety connection, and then that's wellness financial health of the company connection.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So healthy employees,
Cost less
yeah. Just,
overall.
yeah. Who would have thunk it?
It's definitely a win-win, though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd want to feel better, have a better daily life, actually enjoy being able to get up, do your things, go to work.
Yep.
And then your company, of course, benefits from you doing well.
And I think the challenge for proving that wellness, the return on investment of a wellness program, it's challenging because it's hard to say, because this employee did health coaching, they had 4 days less of a hospital stay.
Right,
It's
right,
hard to
right.
make that exact connection. However, having that rapport with your employees, having less of a turnover rate by having an employee wellness program, millennials are more likely to want to apply for a job if they see that a company has a pretty robust wellness program.
Nice.
A lot of other things that are intangible that kind of prove a wellness program.
That's interesting. That's something, we always kind of talk about how the workforce has shifted and changed from, the older generations to the newer generations. And that's something both Aaron and I have experienced a lot of, is with the older generations, wellness, being healthy,
Yes.
I'll drink a 6-pack every night before I go to bed and get up in the morning, drink a Red Bull and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
2 Red Bulls.
Yeah, 2 Red Bulls. And they're wellness, but that's a very interesting shift in mentalities, is now the younger generation wants to see a health and wellness program at work.
Yes. Yep.
So when we think of wellness, we hit some of the major ones. What are we missing? We talked about smoking cessation.
We did
Diabetes a little bit, talking about controlling body weight. What are some of the other things in wellness that we should be thinking of, or some of the other things that you help coach people to get more balanced in their life?
Yeah. So we talk a lot about nutrition, exercise routines. Nutrition, one of my personal favorites.
I forgot those are big ones too.
Yes, and in your intro, it made me laugh because it's perceived and partially true as far as healthy food being more expensive.
Do you know how much a bag of apples costs?
No,
It's like $15 sometimes.
Ooh, Honeycrisp.
For not even Honeycrisp, like a Granny Smith.
Okay, okay.
That's a lot of money. You know how much double quarter pounders I can get for $15?
Well, what?
Too many.
$1 a piece?
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is, and when I talk through nutrition plans with people, you could buy a bag of apples for $15 and have one a day, and maybe the bag comes with 10 or 12 apples, and that's long-lasting energy. You get your fiber, you get your good carbohydrates, you get your vitamins and minerals. So we're paying for longer-lasting energy, more nutrient-dense foods. You go through McDonald's, you get a Big Mac, you get French fries. That is short-term energy.
For sure.
You're wanting to grab the coffee, the frappuccinos, the bag of chips, in an hour or two, because you've ran through that energy with, your processed foods. So therefore, you're spending more money on food because you need to replenish your energy.
Sure. You're tired right away again.
Yep. So healthy food on the front end, yes, it's more expensive. But when we think of how the amount of food that you need to eat to be satisfied, it really...
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I myself, nutritionally, starting the first of this year, had got away from processed healthy foods even. Like, my meal replacement protein bars. I lived off those for years because they only had 400 calories, but they had 30 grams of protein, and then they had all these vitamins and minerals. But still, like, compared, now that I got all these months into this year away from that, like eating actual chicken breast versus eating that processed protein bar, I could tell a world of difference in my energy and in the ability to lose weight and gain muscle. Like, even processed, quote unquote, healthy foods, I think, are less beneficial than actual real food.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
yeah. Well, of course, you've always heard about me talking about how you just need to eat more real food.
Real food, man.
With
You
one
gotta
ingredient.
Eat a lot of real food.
The shorter the ingredient list, you know, the more long-lasting energy you have, the more, you know, it's doing your body so much more good. And I go back to the basics, you know, get a carton of eggs, get a huge canister of oats, canned beans, you know, those things are really not that expensive.
No.
And they're whole real foods with good nutrients. And, you know, I think we try to overcomplicate things and with nutrition, and we think, you know, our meals have to be this complex, fancy, you know, health food
5
type
courses.
of meal. Yeah, when in reality you could have a bowl of oatmeal with some berries and some peanut butter, and bam, you have a pretty well-rounded meal.
Bam.
Bam.
I'm down.
I think one of the biggest issues is the convenience, you know?
Yeah.
Because my protein bars, my meal replacement bars, were the ultra, you know, they were ultimate in convenience. I could have a box in my drawer, up, lunch, boom, eat it, done.
Didn't have to make anything, didn't have to.
Yeah, I got a busy life. I don't have to refrigerate anything. I don't have to do dishes. I didn't have to buy it every day because I could go buy 5 boxes, you know. And so the convenience, and the same with fast food. Fast food's convenient.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could just roll through McDonald's real quick and get a meal. No prepping, planning, no bringing Tupperware to work. I remember bringing Tupperware to work for years, and I was eating healthier, but it was annoying on the home side, cleaning all that Tupperware, you know. And I used to make my own, like, cereals, you know, like put a little flaxseed and some bran flakes and my own raisin, make up kind of my own cereal and eat that every day and have some milk at work. But if you don't clean that cereal Tupperware right away, it's like
concrete.
It's like concrete, you know.
No.
So convenience is a big thing. Do you hear people, you know, use that as an excuse for unhealthy choices?
100%.
So
yes.
what do you got for them? Because that's real, right?
Yep. And, you know, I think the trend or the craze of meal prepping, I personally don't like to eat the same thing every day, reheated 5 times over. You know, that's
right.
You get sick of it. Some people can do it.
Right.
But I think just planning ahead, because as soon as you don't have a plan, you're going to go through the drive-thru. You're going to, you know, and really it's drive-thrus and fast food it's pretty darn expensive, I think, for what you're getting.
$10.
Yeah. And so, you know, trying to plan in advance, not necessarily making your food in advance, but saying, okay, I know for lunch tomorrow I'm going to have sandwich and a thing of yogurt.
Right.
As soon as you don't have a plan, that's when you go to the vending machine or you skip a meal, which is also going to cause you to make bad decisions later on in the day.
Then you pig out in your next one because
Yep.
you missed one and you eat like 3,000 calories in one meal. You're like, well, I have 2 meals to make up and I'll still be healthy.
Yep. So, and I think talking work safety or productivity, and, you know, when we have low energy or our blood sugars are low because we aren't eating well at work, when your blood sugars are low, your energy is going to be low. You can become a little foggy,
a little
ornery, you know, just a lot of things that come with not having the proper nutrients and energy, especially at work. You can make more mistakes on the job. And so I think my tip is planning ahead, especially using an hour or 2 over the weekend or one evening, and just simply having a plan for your meals.
Awesome. And one more thing on this before we go into, because you mentioned exercise, so I want to touch on that. But I used to always harp on getting your meals from the gas station. You know, I used to say, just because we fuel our cars at the gas station doesn't mean we have to fuel our bodies. But I'm kind of backtracking on that a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Because I've noticed gas stations have a lot more healthy choices. They have yogurt. They have a couple hard-boiled eggs pre-peeled.
Little baskets of fruit.
Yeah, pre-peeled. I've even seen a little thing of cooked grilled chicken, just, you know,
Yep.
like, so I'm seeing more healthy choices there, you know, because we have a lot of clients who are construction workers. They're on this site, they're on this site, they're on this site because of the harshness of the site. They don't have microwaves, you know, they're buying their meals from the gas station. It's just the way of life for a lot of these contractors. But have you noticed that, you know, like if you had to coach someone who was buying all their meals from gas stations, could you coach them into some healthy options these days?
Yeah. So Chase and I actually did a little experiment, and we went to multiple gas stations and truck stops because one of our clients is a trucking company.
Right.
So we talk with a lot of drivers, and we put together some different, you know, meals. Now, granted, because shelf life and, you know, there's less preservatives in those fresh foods, they are more expensive. In the long run, it is better for your body to put those foods in than, you know, your granola bars, your candy bars, your chips, your Funyuns, you know, full of chemicals. But yeah, you can get, you know, the little protein packs with cheese and whole grain crackers and salami, and you have your hard-boiled eggs and yogurt and fruit. It's possible. And, you know, the price tag seems annoying, and it's frustrating because it is, you know, overall more expensive, but, you know, you're not going to pay for it later on in life when you have high cholesterol and high blood pressure and all of that.
Yeah. Cool. So, I know AJ's probably excited to talk about weightlifting.
I love weightlifting.
Yes.
But we're talking about wellness and exercise, right? We talked about cardio a little bit. You know, cardio is going to be great for burning calories and helping you with that agility and that balance and all that. But weight training, if someone were lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week, how could that possibly help them at work? How does that wellness exercise connection play over to safety? What do you guys got on that?
Well, you can go ahead. I could talk about this for days.
So I think, you know, our cardiovascular exercise is great for our heart. It's great for building, you know, stamina, endurance, helps with blood pressure, things like that. But when we think about injuries, a lot of it has to do with, you know, especially with the older population, we have osteoporosis, which is, you know, the deterioration of your bones. And that, you know, when our bones are less or are more fragile, injury just happens. Even if you're careful, it can still happen, you know, more frequently. And so I think when we think of weightlifting or strength exercise, we think of building our muscles, but it really also helps with joints and bone health as well.
And I had heard that a long time ago, that lifting weights makes your bones stronger.
Yes.
So that makes perfect sense to me. Now, one of the turnoffs that I hear that I get from people, especially that older generation, when I suggest weightlifting to prevent injuries, is like, I don't want to be no bodybuilder, you know, or I don't want to get hurt lifting weights. I know too many people that get hurt. But you don't have to lift weights to get big muscles.
No.
Right?
No, and that's actually kind of a hard thing to do. Like, a lot of people don't understand the whole building muscle concept.
I wish I could just go lift some weights and just get ripped overnight.
Right? Yeah, but no, it takes a long time. And just to piggyback on what Sarah said, how you apply it at work, if you got an employee who's going into the gym and lifting weights, you know, they're getting all of this conditioning that helps the rest of their entire body and all of their functions. So it helps their bones get stronger. It actually increases your density, increases the elasticity of your joints and your tendons, makes it more difficult for you to like pull something when you're at work if you're lifting weights. And then the other big thing is lifting weights helps you form a mind-muscle connection. So it's kind of like hand-eye coordination, but it's just for the act of contracting a muscle. And when you go and you lift weights, every time you lift that muscle, you're focusing on the activity that you're doing. You can't just tune out, kind of lift, and then be done. Like, you actually have to pay attention to what you're doing. And then when you go to work, hopefully some of that focus that you just learned translates over, because now you have to do a task, or you have to, you know, apply something that you're working on. And now maybe you'll be able to have a little bit more of that focus that you learned weight training.
Because we preach forever. It's one of the oldest safety topics is lifting. lift with your legs, not with your back. Like, everybody knows that's been on the job for a second.
Forever.
But that mind-muscle connection, a lot of people are having trouble realizing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they think, no, I am lifting right. I kind of bent. I kind of flexed my legs a little bit, squatted. But when you look at them, they're still like hoofing it up with them teeny back muscles. It's like, but if they worked their back and they had that, they know like, oh, I'm using that muscle right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they did your favorite deadlifts and squats, and they're used to working them hammies and them quads, and they were lifting that big thing at work, and they're making that connection. They're feeling that muscle now. Mm-hmm. They go, oh, I am doing it right.
Right.
And I think, one challenge that I hear a lot with clients is, well, I don't want to go to a gym, or I don't want to buy all this equipment. And, your own body weight is good.
Yeah, for sure.
Adding in extra weight is, it's going to give you, maybe a little heads up in the game as far as increasing your muscle mass. But I think using your own body weight for squats and push-ups and lunges and all of those exercises, that is just fine as far as strength training goes. So it can be simple. It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive.
Yeah. Motivation, it's a big deal, so selling employers on getting a wellness program, that's one thing. Showing them how it increases productivity, decreases injuries, or if there are injuries, increases healing time, showing them how it helps their financial health. That's one issue. But then selling wellness to employees, like, how do you get a guy to do some push-ups? Like, what are some things that employers, some messages that we could be sharing, or campaigns of why people should be doing some cardio and some calisthenics and some strength? How do we sell that to them?
I hide behind corners where I work, and I jump out and scream, "You're gonna die!" And then when they are like surprised, and then I tell them that's why.
That's how the doctor does it.
Yeah,
the doctor says, "Oh my goodness, your hemoglobin A1C is this high. You're gonna die." I hear that all the time.
I just blindside them, like while they're like at work trying to like think about something else.
Your cholesterol's this high. You're gonna die soon. I mean, that's how the doctors.
I think that's the approach I need to start taking.
Yeah,
I'm too nice.
Sarah just sits down very politely. Well, you should fix this.
I'm going to trick them that there's a job at the dojo, and get them in the ring. And then once they get in the ring, I'm lock the door, be like, put on gloves. Let's see how fit you actually are.
All
Let's
right.
test your stamina and your strength. I'm going to attack you and see if you could survive a real life, violent encounter. And then when I choke them out in a couple seconds,
that's a pretty scary one.
Then I'm going to be like, see, you need to work out.
Well, but they'll be unconscious at that point.
Well, no, I'll let them go. They just got to tap. Yeah.
And this is why you guys are the safety guys, not the wellness guys.
Yeah.
The evil safety dudes.
Yes. No, but I think for some employers, we help. My philosophy is like, knowledge is power, and the people that I talk to that are willing to learn and to educate themselves on health and wellness topics, whether that's nutrition or mental health or exercise, I think that eagerness and that willingness to learn is one of the first steps. And, for employers to just, nicely post some educational flyers in the stairwell about, if you take the stairs versus the elevator, what muscles are you working? What are you benefiting from that? Mm-hmm. And, competition is always great. Having, competitions at work, people get jacked about that, and having some incentives to having people increase their exercise or lose weight, we find that to be beneficial as well. But
I think your line of work and our line of work is similar with the whole difficulty of selling prevention. You mentioned proactive safety. That's what safety guys are all about. Mm-hmm. Let's put in these safety policies, plans, procedures in place so we don't have the injury. And then all the employer hears is, you want to spend a bunch of money when something's never happened yet because it could happen.
Yes.
And we're like, yes.
Yes.
Here's
That's the
statistics. Here's proof. Here's a company just like you who had this. Here's 5 companies just like you who had this injury doing the same thing. It's only a matter of time before you have it. Let's do this, this, and this, and this, because that injury is going to cost way more than these preventive measures. And they're like, nah, I just going to, what they're saying is, I want to keep rolling the dice, but their words are, no, I want to be optimistic and not think of worst case.
Yeah, we're different than these guys. We're better.
Positive vibes only here,
Yeah.
But you're doing the same thing. You're like, hey, employee, your numbers aren't great. You're heading in this direction. This direction is going to be these bigger diseases, these more likely injuries at work. Your healing time is already not great because these numbers are going to get worse if you keep on this path. But it hasn't happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
In our line of work, when we get super motivated clients to get compliant with safety is after a catastrophic injury or a super OSHA bus. And I know in the health setting, I've seen so many people change their life around after the heart attack.
Yep. It becomes reality.
Yeah. So have you seen that too? Like, you've been coaching to a guy or a gal for 2 years, and they just been kind of like, whatever, going through the motions. Then all of a sudden they have an issue, and now they're like really listening.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that?
Yeah. And a lot of times it's either personally they have a heart attack or, different extreme cases, or it's a family member that they see has, something happen, or God forbid, pass away from something that was preventative or preventable. And then they're like, oh, yeah, maybe I should start exercising because I just saw, this tragedy happen, and now it's reality. And it's tough because, you don't want it to get to that point.
Right.
So one, kind of prompt or question that we ask is, what gets you out of bed every morning? What is your motivating factor for going to work, for, for staying healthy? And it comes down to my health, my kids, my family.
Right.
And, I said, well, you keep that in the back of your head every single day. And, I know life gets busy and things, happen, but you have to remember your motivating factor and your why.
For sure. What do you think about this strategy, doing coaching and, someone's going down a bad path health-wise? How are your parents? Are they alive? What age did they die? What did they die of? Or had they ever had a heart attack? What age did they have that? How did that affect them? Because I find our parents are kind of like, a future version of where we could go. Because I think a lot of people get their dietary food choices, their palates and eating habits from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
So you could look ahead. It's not a perfect match, but you could kind of have people see their future if they stay on that path by looking at their parents. Because their parents probably didn't get on the healthy path, because of the generation stuff. Have you ever used any family history as motivation?
I mean, we definitely, especially with, not to stereotype, but the younger male employee is one of the least likely to take any preventive caution as far as going in for a preventive physical or an eye exam or, going to the dentist or those types of preventive measures. And so that's probably the group that it's like, okay, do you know of any family history? Is there any way you could find out some family history? Because you may seem healthy right now and on paper you're doing great, but if you're not proactive later on, that family history or, those habits of your parents or your grandparents can really, you can get stuck.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with diabetes, what age was your dad diagnosed with it? Or at what weight did he get to where it kicked in? And all right, you're 30 pounds from that. Let's never get there.
Right.
Let's start now.
Yep.
We don't have to turn out like that. And I think with those young males, 25, they're, semi-fit or whatever, and they see their dad, huge gut, not fit, and they're like, well, I'm totally different. Well, no, your dad looked just like you at 25.
Yeah. Go back, look at some pictures.
Yeah, you're not like, oh, well, that was him, this is me. Nah, he looked just like you at 25. He might look better because he probably did more labor.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
a tough sell, though, the whole prevention.
It is.
But that's kind of what we got to do, sell it now. Let's prevent it before it gets out of hand, because, man, medical treatments and surgeries and, oh, man, that's way worse than just taking care of our bodies now.
Yeah. And just a random thought. So I always like to ask people, okay, take the 3 or 4 people that you are around the most, either at work or at home. What are they healthy? Are their habits healthy? Do they make good choices? Because you are the average of the 5 people you're around the most. So if you hang out with smokers, if you hang out with people who just like to sit and watch TV and eat chips, I mean, because those are your friends or your family, those are the habits that you kind of that rub off on you. So you want to surround yourself with people that will push you to make healthy choices. And you could be the person that influences in a good way, but you also want to try to, be around people that are just going to influence you positively.
That's true with all changes we make in life. You get in a group that's all on that same goal, you're more likely to do it. I remember when I started at IBC, it was like that for me. I was in a workplace where nobody cared about health, and then I joined IBC and, everybody cared about health. And it's like, I already cared about health, but it gave me that extra motivation to be in a group that cared about it.
Yeah, especially because, you spend so many hours at work and around those people that, you want that environment to be.
When you go in the break room and somebody did bring donuts,
I throw them away.
But,
ooh, wow.
But when you see how someone just cut like a quarter out of it, that in and of itself was motivating. It's like, look, my coworker didn't eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
I want one.
It's those small things.
I'm going to do that too. I'm just going to take that bite, and that's going to be good. That was still a healthier choice, but that was influenced by a coworker who was trying to make a healthy choice.
Yep.
Versus like, oh man, they took all the good ones, and I'm
going to take the rest.
I don't even like now. Yeah, that's a different influence. Cool. Well, we're out of time. We're over an hour.
Dang.
Yeah, and
I know it goes fast.
We super enjoyed you coming on and helping us make that wellness safety connection. And we end up making a bunch more.
Yeah.
The wellness money connection, the wellness productivity connection. So any employers out there listening, I hope that you got some good information today to kick in a robust wellness program and watch that return on investment roll in. And a win-win for everybody. So
yeah.
All right. Well, for Sarah Rawl and AJ Hanscom, I'm Aaron Icino. AJ and I together, the evil safety dudes.
Oh, you didn't do the thing.
Well, I got to make up one because we got Sarah.
Ooh.
Evil safety
evil wellness dudes.
And
you can be a dude.
And
wellness
and help.
witch.
Oh, jeez.
I was gonna say health nut because that's a derogatory term for healthy.
She was trying
people.
to find some.
Yeah, maybe that one's better.
Evil safety dude and health witch. All right, let's go for it. Ready? For Sarah Rawl and AJ Hanscom, I'm Aaron Icino. Together we are the evil safety dudes and
wellness witch.
Awesome, guys. Until next time, stay safe and healthy.
Stay healthy.
All right. Bye-bye.